Good day, sir. Good day, everyone, and we are the Group 4. Together with my team, Decadat Larra, Justine, Cogtas, me, Decadat Cecilieto Gasalatan Jr., and lastly, Decadat Geonzon, Lynn. Welcome to MTEC 102 in the semi-final period, Week 1. So our topic for today is errors and health effects of radar. So the intended learning outcome is that at the end of the session, students shall be able to determine the radar errors and the possible health effects of radar. So once again, this is our topic, errors and health effects of radar. To start with, let us answer first the question, what are the possible health effects of radar? So most studies conducted to date examined health effects other than the cancer. So they probe into physiological and thermoregulatory responses, behavioral changes, and effects such as the induction of lens opacities or cataracts and the adverse reproductive outcome following a acute exposure to highly relative levels of RF fields, and there are also a number of studies that report non-thermal effects where no appreciable rises in the temperature can be measured. So such things like cataract. Next is the cancer-related studies. So many epidemiological studies have addressed possible links between the exposure to RF and excess risk of cancer. So World Health Organization has also concluded that there are no convincing scientific evidence that the exposure to the RF shortens the lifespan of the humans, or that RF is inducer or promoter of the cancer. However, further studies are necessary. And lastly, as mentioned earlier, such things also included skin cancer. So our next reporter will be Decadat Larra Justine Cogtas.
Thank you, Decadat Gasalatan. And now let's talk about radar errors. We have 1. Heading marker alignment. 2. Electronic bearing line not alignment. 3. Gyro input with error. 4. Improper tuning. 5. Improper range. 6. Blind sector. 7. Adjustment train clutter. 8. Own vessel date input error. 9. Range and bearing discrimination. 10. Beam width distortion. 11. Side lobe echo. 12. Multiple echo. 13. Second trace echo. Now let's know those radar errors one by one. First, we have the heading marker alignment. A collision point could appear off the heading marker in a collision situation, which the same error appears in both heading marker and calculation. As might occur due to a gyro compass error, the collision case will always show the collision point on the heading marker. Next is the electronic bearing line not alignment. The ABL system has a limited area of exposure or writing field, and the large pattern is divided into many writing fields exposed side by side with stage movement between each field exposure. The deviation from perfect alignment between consecutive writing fields is called stitching error. We have the blind sector. On the radar scope, in which radar echoes cannot be received because of an obstruction near the antenna. Next is the rain clutter. Clutter is a term used for unwanted echoes in electronic system, particularly in reference to radars, such as echoes are typically returned from ground, sea, rain, animals, insects, shaft, and atmospheric turbulences, and can cause serious performance issues with radar systems. Next, we have the range discrimination. Two small targets on same bearing and slight range difference may be shown as on target. Then we have the beam width distortion. The finite beam width of the radar results in echoes being extended in the azimuth direction, called azimuth distortion. It is apparent that azimuth distortion will result in an enlargement of a target by approximately 1/2 beam width on either side. So, total enlargement is equal to 1 beam width. Next reporter, let's have Geonzon Lynn.
Thank you. So in addition, side lobe echo. So the finite beam width of the radar result in echoes being extended in the azimuth direction called azimuth distortion. So it is apparent that azimuth distortion will result in an enlargement of a target by approximately 1/2 beam width on other side, So total enlargement is equal to 1 beam width.
Side lobe echoes. As well as the main beam, the radar produces a number of weaker beams on either side, called side lobes. Normally these beams do not cause a problem as the transmitted energy from them is very weak. However, when very strong targets are close to the antenna locations, echoes can be detected from these side beams. The strongest echo is the actual target, and either side of the main echo are side echoes which have the same range but are progressively weaker as the bearing increases or decreases from the actual target. This is shown now on the screen.
Next, we have multiple echo. So multiple echoes may occur when a strong echo is received from another ship at close range. So a second or third or more echoes may be observed on the radar scope at double, triple, or other multiples of the actual range of the radar contact.
Multiple echoes are caused by two reflecting surfaces bouncing a radar pulse backwards and forwards between the targets, and then eventually being received at the scanner location. This can happen several times to produce a series of echoes on the screen, all leading away from the correct echoes. All the multiple targets would be weaker echoes and get progressively weaker as the range increased away from the scanner location.
Next, we have second trace echoes or multiple trace echoes. Are echoes received from a contact at an actual range rather than the radar range settings. So if an echo from a distant target is received after the following pulse has been transmitted, so the echo will appear on the radar scope at the correct bearing but not true range. Second trace echoes are unusual, so except under abnormal atmospheric conditions or conditions under which super refractions is present.
Second trace echoes has already been mentioned that the condition called ducted can result in echoes returning from considerable distances. These echoes will appear at the correct bearing but at much lower ranges than the true distance. What can happen is that an echo from the first pulse can arrive back at the scanner after the transmission of the second pulse. So you can see this is the second pulse going from the scanner. The echo from the first pulse is received back by the scanner.
And next we have one of the limitations of ship radar is that it may not be able to detect an object due to its size, proximity to sea surface, or when the object is a poor radar target because of its construction or design. So for example, military ships are designed so that the radar waves do not reflect back to the receiving unit of radar scanner. So this also happens with wooden fishing boats as they have poor radar reflective surface. So small units boats engaged in fishing are also difficult to sight visually at night. Sometimes they may not be seen during daytime, but the bridge, due to height or the angle of viewing a reflection of the sea surface, so when navigating in the proximity of such vessel or their known operating areas, so it is good practice to post an alert lookout with a walkie-talkie on the forecastle deck. So as you can see in the picture, a lookout on a forecastle is closer to sea surface and has better chance of sighting small crabs. So next is in this picture, seaweed is giving very good radar returns due to the highly reflective surface. So it had covered the whole sea surface during low water. So but because it was the ship's first call to a port area, so which was not well surveyed, so the first thought was that there may be an error in the chart and we altered course to stay well clear. So we started approaching only after getting positive confirmation by all possible means that it was safe to do so and there was an ample water with sufficient depth. So it is always better to be safe than sorry. So I was also concerned if the seaweed, because of being so densely packed, so could in any way foul the bow thruster. So that would be all, and thank you for listening.
That would be all for our reporting for today about the topic errors and health effects of radar. Thank you so much for listening, and if there are any questions, feel free to approach us in our group chat. Have a good day.